To order again, thank you all for joining us here today for our Public Safety Committee Ad Hoc Committee meeting for February 27, 2005, starting here at 1:31. And we again appreciate you all coming out. We got a lot of great things. I know that we're going to get deep into the study. As you look at the agenda, we're going to switch a little bit on the agenda, Doctor. We had you first, but we're going to have the Sheriff Department go first. And then we'll have you come after that with your presentation. Again, I'm Charlie Caswell, County Commissioner, District 6. Again, have my co-chair here with me, Commissioner McWright of District 3. And so excited that the work that is being done over these last almost 2.5 years now in doing these public safety ad hoc committee meetings since they start. For those who know, they started right out the murder of Elijah Fletcher and also Ezekiel Kelly. And so we started to dive deep into this work, initially just really bringing in some of our government sources that are here and figuring out what did we have at the county level that could make an impact back into our communities. And then some of the work that came out of that was launching in partnership with the Community Service Department, the District Connector work, where we got people now in these communities on the ground, gathering a lot of this information, looking at root cause issues around crime, around social determinants of health that leads to many of these crimes, sadly, that we see in our community. I know it's a lot going on in our city, county, state, and so we just want to, again, be a body here that is able to take it back to the big body, the recommendations of things that are needed to continue to move Shelby County forward when it comes to our public safety. Like I said, to hear that we are seeing some shifts in the numbers of crime that's in our community is a great thing, but it's not to be celebrated because we really want to see that go down in a major way. And in order for us to do that, we know it's going to take all of you, all of us, working together and coming up with the strategies that's needed to continue to move us forward in Shelby County. I know that we are working on our third year Public Safety 7P Summit that's coming up. We'll be getting that date because we're still in collaborations on April the 5th is the initial date that's set. In collaboration with some of our other partners at the city and others that we're looking to come on board with us to make that a successful event this year. And again, I want to thank the Sheriff Department who last year hosted us at the Sheriff Training Center, Chief Buckner, and that was a great successful event there to really bring our 7P partners and stakeholders from all over the city. We're trying to put it on, I will be coming back to y'all, but this year we're trying to get our goal, I'm ambitious on the goal of 3,900 people, right? 300 people I'm asking from all of the 13 districts to come out to be a part of this. I am talking with the school district. I'm really trying to get 100 youth out of each of those districts to be a part of us, to really try to focus on this year on how do an ecosystem around public safety in each of these districts look, and having those people voices, the people voices at a table to present back to our commissioners, to us as on the commission, what the people are seeing and saying when it comes to resources and supports in the community around addressing many of these issues. With that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to my co-chair, and if you have any remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not many. Just wanted to say thank you for your leadership of this committee for the last several years, as well as the participation of you all who have helped us along the way. I look forward to the agenda that you've put together. I couldn't agree more with your comments today so far. I know we have two great speakers. We have Dr. Yoshi, whose reputation precedes him, all the good work that he's done at the University of Memphis and prior to that, and then also Deputy Chief Buckner. Very curious to hear your update, as well as Chief Fields and others, what's happening with the jail. These are all very important issues for us and the other members of the commission. So thanks again for being here and for your leadership, Chair.
Sir, we're going to start with introduction. We're going to start here with you, Chief, and then if you just come.
Kirk Fields, Chief Jailer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
Stan Wolford, Director of Operations, WellPath.
Matthew Robinson, Jail Maintenance Manager, Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
Ashish Joshi, the Dean for the School of Public Health, University of Memphis. Glad to be here.
Willie Brooks, Shelby County Register of Deeds.
Sandy Bromley, Division of Community Services for Shelby County.
Will Fraser Associates.
Joe Gurley, Safeways Incorporated.
Mike Rogers, Safeways.
Haley Simmons, Chief of Policy and Programs, Mayor Young's office.
I'm Josh Spickler, Executive Director of Just City.
I'm Jessica Van Dyke. I'm the legal director at the Tennessee Innocence Project.
Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
Marcy Ingram, Legislative Council.
Natasha Burnett, District Attorney's Office, Victim Advocate and Justice Link 901.
Dr. Daphne Swift, serial entrepreneur and community advocate.
Anthony Blackman, Community Director at the Warrior Center.
Matt Shalai, Special Assistant to Mayor Young for Policy.
Christian Warren, Special Assistant to Mayor Young for Policy.
Good afternoon, Dr. Hammond, Assistant Principal, Ronnie's High School.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
Francesca Caston, Silverliner for domestic violence.
Hi everyone, Amal Altareb, intern at the DA's office.
C.R. Robinson from Just Fly Memphis.
I went on different. Again, thank you all for being here on today. I know, like I said, we got a great in-depth conversation that we are looking to have. We're going to start with you, Chief Buckner, and we're going to, with the Sheriff Department, yeah. And do CAO need to be at the mic?
Oh, I would love for her to be at the mic.
Okay. If we can, guys, one of y'all, yes, give our CAO. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, sir.
All right, well, good afternoon, Chairman Caswell, as well as Vice Chair. Thank y'all so much for having us here to provide this update. Chairman, I heard you say earlier that I allowed you to use Academy last year for the meeting. Now, I gave you that time for free. Now, when you come back, you have to do some push-ups and run our obstacle course, so be ready and be prepared to do that. Like all good Sheriff's Office personnel, we bring backup with us, so I know this conversation can extend in many different directions. So joining me today, they've already introduced themselves as Chief Kirk Fields, who runs jail operation each day. We also have Mr. Stanley Woodford, that's representing WellPath. So if questions come up regarding mental health services or medical services, Mr. Woodford will be here and available to respond to those questions, as well as Mr. Matthew Robinson, who's representing, as stated earlier, jail maintenance. So I know he will have a more extensive update as it relates to where we are with repairs, and then none other Ms. Lindsay, our department banker, who can talk dollars and cents if we need to get into that area. But I do want to start off with some opening comments. We know a week or so back, we experienced 4 deaths in the jail in 1 week. And I can certainly tell you, walking through the jail, that was a very, very challenging week for us. The staff was obviously dejected. It was a week that we've never seen before, and it was tough. But I also understand that while it was tough for us, it was very difficult for the families who got to knock at the door that their loved one had passed away. And so, as I've stated publicly to the media, anytime we experience a death in the jail, whether it's through some type of medical issue or any other kind of method, we all come to the table to figure out what happened and if there was anything that we could have done differently or anything that we could have done better. So to have 4 in 1 week, you can just only imagine the amount of stress that it placed on the staff, but more importantly, even the families. And so I just want to make sure that I lay that out here to let you know that we take each and every death inside of our jail seriously, but then also any kind of injury that occur in our facility as well. But as it relates to the repairs, as you know, you guys or the commission approved a little more than $6 million for us to replace about 686 doors in the jail, switching them from a sliding mechanism to a hinge system. We have the first pod completed in the jail, and soon we'll be moving inmates from the correction center back to 201 Poplar, where they will be housed inside of those pods. Now, the repairs took a little bit longer than what we initially anticipated. We were hoping to have pods completed within 2 to 3 weeks. But of course, when you start any project, you run into things that you just didn't experience or didn't plan for. And so it went a little longer than what we had anticipated. We know this is going to be about a 2-year process. So we're going to still try to stay within that 2-year time frame. The escalators within the jail still are not functioning. I think the last person I asked, I think Chief Fields told me that it's been about 15 years since all of the escalators worked at one time. And so that presents a challenge, obviously, when we're trying to move, whether it's food or personnel throughout the jail. But they are in the process of doing a clean down, and I'll let Mr. Robinson speak more about that. But they're doing a clean down now just to try to determine what repairs are needed to make those escalators functional and how much it's going to cost. We're still chasing leaks throughout the jail. We know the source of most of them. But the leaks still seem to be a pretty significant problem for us. We have made a lot of headway in terms of repairing many of them, but the jail just continues to leak. And so obviously that presents issues when you're trying to attack the pest issue as well, when you have standing waters in different places of the jail. Those are the 3 top issues that I think that we have when it comes to jail maintenance or jail repairs, but I'll let Mr. Robinson get a little bit more in depth with where his team is when it comes to some additional repairs. So, Mr. Robinson, if you don't mind kind of weighing in on those other issues you're dealing with.
Matthew Robinson, Jail Maintenance Manager. I can give you some good news on escalators. 7 of the 10 have been cleaned down. 3 of the ones that cannot be cleaned down because of they've called crashed or damaged will be cleaned down once the repairs start. I do have a quote. It has been sent over to purchasing, has been approved. I think it's $1.26 million for that repair of all 10 escalators. It'll be done in 2 sections. It comes with a 1-year warranty and maintenance contract also with that. The leaks Chief spoke of. As you know, the jail opened in '81. The toilets are stainless steel. The sink tubes that go to the drains for the sinks are at end of life, I believe, for the epoxy they used. I've reached out to Acorn about replacing toilets. We are slowly, we have our own way to fix them, but it's not a permanent fix. We're using Flex Seal, but it works very well. It's been holding there very well, but it's not a permanent fix. So I'm looking into new toilets. And then another issue we've had is elevators. It'd be I do have a quote to get the elevators modernized, but code enforcement requires that all the lights, HVAC, the panels, everything to be changed. Everything has to be new for the elevator, new cables. I do have a quote for that, but they haven't come in I want a turnkey job, so they haven't come in yet to figure out what it's going to cost to do the turnkey job. That should be next week, so I'll have some numbers here pretty soon. Do you have any questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Robinson. I do want to add one more thing, and Mr. Robinson may be able to weigh in on this as well. You know, last year we talked a lot about power surges that hit particularly 201 Poplar that really placed us in this position that we're in now as it relates to jail doors. We have been working with Memphis Light, Gas, and Water representatives to determine, you know, what was the source or what was the cause of those particular power surges. But then we also are working on mechanisms to put in place where if we do receive surges in the future, hopefully we'll be able to stop the amount of damage that occurred last year. So, Matt, can you just comment a little bit on your relationship or your work with Memphis Light, Gas, and Water?
All right, Light, Gas, and Water come out. I don't know the exact date and put a monitor on our switch gear. They left it there for, I believe, 44 days. I believe they had between 27 and 28 spikes and drops in power. Light, Gas, and Water gives a 5% fluctuation. They never went out of their 5% range. But the power surges, my electronics tech has ordered and installing battery backups and surge protectors in every housing unit to help prevent this from ever happening again.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robinson. I know you asked about jail maintenance and things of that nature, but I will update you a little bit. Staffing-wise, I am proud that this morning we graduated 29 brand-new correctional officers for the jail, and so that's going to be a nice shot of penicillin in our staffing arm as it relates to the jail. So we are still, we're planning to start another class soon, but we still need many more. We're still down hundreds of staff members for the jail. So I like to use this platform for anybody interested in becoming a member of the sheriff's office. Please visit us at shelby-sheriff.org. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Chief Fields, did you want to add anything to this conversation regarding maintenance?
Not at this time, but I can assure everyone that Matthew and his staff are doing everything that they possibly can do to correct the conditions that are taking place. We have outside vendors, outside plumbers coming in to assist his team with correcting some of our plumbing issues.
All right, thank you, Chief Fields. That's pretty much my update, Commissioner. I'll open it up for any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Deputy Chief Buckner, for that update. I was curious if if we've heard anything on the CTAS study of the jail. I know this commission initially put an amount of money toward a study that turned into or became that CTAS study. Can you tell us where we are with that and when we could expect that back?
Thank you for the question. I can. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the sheriff and I were in Murfreesboro, and we had an opportunity to meet with several of the folks from CTAS that are conducting the study. We had a preliminary conversation about some of the content in it, and we made some recommendations as it relates to the size of the next jail and how big or small it should be. So there are some data points that they need to go back and consider. And so they didn't give us a hard estimate on how much more time they're going to need. I anticipate the next few weeks they should have that study completed. But we have had a preliminary conversation about what that study could look like.
Any other questions before we go? Well, my question I have first, Chief, if you could tell us, what is the process when individuals come into the jail when it comes to their physical, mental health evaluation before they're entered into the system? Could you tell us that process?
Certainly, and I'll give you a 35,000-foot view of it, but then I'll kick it over to Mr. Woodford to kind of go a little bit lower than that. But when a new arrestee is brought to the Shelby County Jail in what we call the Sally Port, it's the very first stop that an officer makes when they bring a new arrestee into the jail. There's a window that they must stand in front of, and they communicate with someone from the medical team that would ask them a series of questions regarding their physical health or any injuries, things of that nature. If a person comes to the jail who's been injured, or if they answer yes to certain questions as it relates to their medical conditions, then they'll be referred back to Regional 1 by the transporting officer. One thing that I've said publicly a number of times, it's a two-way communication when it comes to our staff communicating with inmates or detainees and what they give to us. So if a detainee chooses not to disclose certain medical conditions or certain medicines that they're taking, then it makes it very difficult for the staff to treat them. If they do disclose that information, then it makes it a little bit easier to try to get in front of potential crises. But the first stop that they make before they even come into the jail is a stop where they have to meet and have conversations with the medical team. And Mr. Woodford, I ask you to kind of delve a little bit deeper into that if you like.
Sure. Stan Wolford, Director of Operations, WellPath. And Chief Buckner is correct. It's very important. A lot of times when they're coming in, they're not upfront with disclosing information because many of them feel like they're going to be booked and released. and then it turns out, oh, I can't get released, so we may not have all the information. But if everything goes as it should, if we do accept them into the facility, like Chief was saying, if they get out of the squad car in the Sally Port and they can't walk on their own, they can't ambulate, they look to be impaired of any sort, or they were in an accident, we're going to send them to Regional 1 for further evaluation right out the gate. But if they're not hitting any of those, they come in, our team is going to see them immediately. They're going to be screened. There's a full history taken. And many of the patients that we see come in, they already have a history with us. So we already have that in our electronic medical record system. So we have a lot of data on many of them, but some we do not. But we're asking all of those questions of history of drinking or medications, mental health concerns, all of those are asked. If they answer yes to any of those, depending on what it is, they could be either sent out, they could be put on the list to be seen by the physician the next day. If it's a mental health concern, they could either be put on a suicide watch, because I'll back up, because anyone in the facility, corrections, medical, nurse, anyone can put someone on a suicide watch, but a mental health professional could only take them off the watch once they get on it. But once the patient is seen by our nursing staff, if they hit any of those, a referral is done to another level. If it's mental health, we have a mental health person in-house, typically all the time, and there's always someone, a mental health person that's available down in the intake area, so they would be screened then. Once all of that happens, we also make sure that they get on their critical medications at that point as well. If they disclose that, oh, I'm getting my medications at Walgreens, we call Walgreens right at that time, verify that they have orders for those medications. Then we get them on their critical medications immediately. Some people come in, they haven't been on their mental health medications or their blood pressure medicines or whatever it may be for some time period, so we have to reevaluate them, but we get them back on their medications. And then if it's a chronic issue, they're put into our chronic care pod or queue, and they're seen either 30 days, every 90 days, 60 days, whatever the doctor decides that they may need to be followed up on. So that's kind of how that works. If they have a concern, they can either go to our kiosk system in the facility and put in a sick call request, or if they're in a pod that doesn't have the kiosk, there's paper request that is available, and our nurses pick those up daily, and we screen those, and they're triaged on different levels, so they could be urgent, emergent, or right now if they need to be seen. So that happens. And currently, we do not have any backlogs of sick calls at the facility. So, but that's kind of the process in a bit. There's a lot of other things that go on in between that, but that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, and so I know, like you said, they got to be willing to share that information coming in on the front end. But Chief, if you all, Chief Field, you might could tell me, like if we have people that are mental health consumers, when they come in, is it nothing on record that can say that this is a mental health consumer that helps us identify that?
I can answer. Stan Wilford again. Like I said, Commissioner, I would guess to estimate probably 70 to 80% of the people that we see have been there before. So we do have that information in our electronic medical record that's kept, so that our nurses, when they screen them, or our mental health professionals, when they screen them, they see that. And so that keys them to do some other things. If the patient is saying, no, I don't have any mental health concerns, well, we're looking in the system, we can see that you attempted suicide a year ago. We're going to ask more questions about that. And even they may end up being referred just for further screening, or they could be put on a watch.
Commissioner, if I may, I want to add just one thing. And I know this is something that we've probably repeated before, but be it mental health medication or medical medication, the Shelby County Jail cannot force anyone to take their medicine. And so if they opt out not to do that, we have to respect that. Obviously, we try our best to negotiate with them and try different methods to encourage them to take their medication, but we're not a facility where we can force a detainee to take medication. So in some cases, that individual may go into a crisis state and be transported to a hospital where they can receive the medication that they need. But we're a facility that cannot make an inmate or a detainee take their medication. I just want to add that to the conversation.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I know that's been the conversation too with Alliance with this new facility that they got. If they can come there, I know on lower charges maybe, and they can actually give them that. Is that something that we need to be looking at state law, since we have a entity in there that can provide that services, that we need to be able to do that? Because my thing is just thinking about what is our plan of action to mitigate some of these deaths or things that's occurring in the jail. Do we have a strategic plan put in place to say to the public that we can start to say, like, this is what's steps are being taken to mitigate these deaths or mental health?
Yeah, Commissioner, every day we do what we call a whiteboard. And those patients that you're talking about now, we talk about them every day. And if it's, people on medications, we talk about our people that have appointments on the outside. We talk about any attempts, it's a whole list of things that we go over every single morning to capture that and make sure patients are followed up that way, that are critical.
And I will add, in 2019, the sheriff hired or created a new position called an expediter. And it was a position that we found to be very helpful in dealing with the youth detention center. So we brought the concept over to the adult system. And so since 2019, we've had an expediter. I think it started out with former Judge Michelle Best, and now Mr. Cole Harold Morris is actually in that role right now, where when we have vulnerable inmates, we try to work with defense attorneys as well as the judiciary to try to get these individuals hopefully released. Obviously, the sheriff's office doesn't make that decision, but we try to be a good partner in the conversation so that the judiciary can make a decision, hopefully in the best interest of the detainee as well as the community.
Yeah.
And Commissioner, I'll also add on.
And I'm sorry, this is why I about messed up it, because we're recording in the minutes. Probably, if you could say your name before you speak, that helps us with keeping up with the minutes. I apologize.
Stan Wilford Wellpath. And Commissioner, I was just going to add, Cole, that call that I was mentioning, he is also on that call with us every day as well. And so we're able to bounce off patients with him, and because he's our direct link to those patients' attorneys on the outside as well, and the mental health court. So that is working really well for us.
And Chief Fields, if you can help us with, when we talk about the staff in there and the number of people that you have there, are these individuals with mental health, the consumers in a certain area there, and what do that staff and capacity look like for these individuals?
Kirk Fields, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Unfortunately, because we have so many people with mental health issues, they're not all housed in one area, so they're spread throughout the facility. The primary floor for our mental health consumers is the second floor, which is our medical floor. We try to staff that floor with the required staffing for that floor because of those vulnerable medical inmates. But because we have over 700, close to 800 inmates that are on some type of psychotropic medication, those guys are spread throughout the facility. But the most severe people are housed on the second floor, which is close to our medical unit.
And Chief, can you tell me how many people are in the jail now and how many, not total, and then what's the capacity of the jail?
Kirk Fields, Sheriff's Office. Today, my count was 2,580. 2,580 at 201 alone. The capacity is 2,800.
And I know that some repairs are being done on a certain floor, so with that part being shut down, is still, you have the capacity, you're not over capacity. I know at one time it was where we had people in the auditorium sleep on pads. We're not there.
We're not there, but because of the ongoing repairs, we do have some residents that we are housing at the Shelby County Division of Corrections, and a couple in a building that they have there, but we have our staff on site to supervise those guys.
Well, Pav, could you tell me how many therapists do you have working on your staff with the jail?
Stan Wilford Wellpath. We have 10.2 FTEs, if we're talking about 201.
Yeah, 201.
10.2 FTEs of master's level mental health professionals. We have 2 psych NPs and 1 psychiatrist.
Okay, and so, and I know so you're working along with the officers when it comes to an individual that's in a part that's saying he needs to see a therapist, or how do that process work if someone needs service?
If someone we need to see, they pull them, and most of our patients, if they are cooperative, they are brought up to the clinic by custody staff, and so they're seen in the clinic, not typically in the pods. But if we can't see them in the pods, the staff will go out to the pods and see them as well, because they're making rounds out there to check on people on watches anyway.
Yeah, I want to take a minute and recognize our chairman of the County Commission, Chairman Mike Whaley, that's here right now. Chairman, if you have.
Thank you, Commissioner Caswell. No, I just appreciate you having me in here. Just would love to listen in on the conversation. I think these are quite important topics, and it's first a challenge to get so many important decision makers in the room. The bigger challenge is then being able to come out of it with actionable, specific direction and policy to be able to better the community. So I think those are the things that we're looking for in these types of ad hoc committees, and I know Chairman Caswell and Vice Chairman Wright agree with that. So I think if we make sure we have that mindset with us, so so that something comes out of it very specifically. We hold ourselves accountable to those goals. I think that's what will help move us forward. So appreciate in advance and already for the commitment that you've got to public safety in Shelby County. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. And again, I just thanking this body and those who have been a part of it. One of the things that we came out of this the last year some of the things for this year legislative agenda came through this public safety ad hoc to be able to pull the school district, the city council, all district attorney office, everyone into one room to agree on many of the issues that we have before us. And this is going back to a big at the top level, Chief, so I'm going to swing kind of your way with this question, to think about the fact that even if everything worked out and all the stars line up to do a new jail in Shelby County, which we know we need jail, we need schools, we need hospitals, because a lot of our infrastructure is no doubt is falling apart. I took tours of the jail several times, and I said it publicly. I wouldn't put my dog in some of these spaces of what I see in that jail because of the depressions of what I see in there, and then they're getting right back out eventually into a community with that level of trauma. And so that, looking at the fact that come forward, it's still going to take 5 to 10 years, but we're having these type of issues in the jail. This commission been working along. I know the CAO been fighting hard to be able to get some things done, but those things are just band-aiding that jail at this time. A lot of taxpayer dollars going into that. Are you all working on a strategic plan, not the study of the new jail, but a strategic plan of how do we make it the next 5 to 10 years while that jail is being built to mitigate some of this deaths and things that we're seeing happening there?
Absolutely. Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Absolutely, Commissioner. I think when you're trying to solve the issues of some of the concerns that we've heard about the jail, it's a two-way approach. There's a strategic approach, which we're always talking about a new jail. That's a long-term, that's way down the field kind of a deal. But then there are tactical decisions that have to be made now, and we're making those decisions, if not daily, certainly weekly. Decisions such as, do we have the right management supervising some of the most violent floors and making those personnel adjustments, partner with recruitment teams to try to get more people hired and into the jail. These doors that this committee, this body supported us in getting, that helps out with reducing the number of incidents that we have in the jail, simply because when we tell detainees to lock down or return to their cells in the evening, we can actually keep them in there. And so I think we'll see a reduction in incidents. The more and more these pods are converted to these new doors, I think the incidents will start to go down. But then also making sure that we're supporting some of the operations that the correction officers would normally do, that we're replacing with other people. Unfortunately, last year or year before last, we had to take about 39 law enforcement deputies off the streets to take over transportation for the jail, taking inmates or detainees from the jail to the hospital, so that we can put 39 more deputies on the floors inside of the jail. And so we're making these tactical decisions every single day, if not daily, weekly, to make sure that we are reducing the number of incidents that occur within the facility. But then, as you indicated earlier, strategically, it's the new jail, and those are conversations that we have to have. Two things have to work at the same time in terms of our tactical approach, but then also the strategic approach. So those two things must work together to make sure that we're having the safest environment we can for our detained population.
And Chief, when you talk about that, I know you came to one of my stakeholder meetings. You brought some weapons that were created inside of the jail by these individuals. How are you all addressing that? With obtaining some of those weapons, have it helped you kind of see how do we scale that back, or how they're creating these weapons, these shanks and what have you in the jail? What is being done kind of to address how they get weapons, how they get drugs, how they get many of the things in the jail? I know I was talking with some people individually yesterday. I don't know if it was you, Chief Buckner, that we was talking about how they taking light bulbs and busting them out and using the fumes in there. You got many of these individuals coming in with addictions, and how they getting whatever they can to feed that addiction. And so what are some of the strategic plans around that, if you can share, to kind of help address the weapon issues, and then how they are obtaining drugs and things like that?
Sure, Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. So that's all part of our tactical approach as well. And so we discover a majority of these weapons that you mentioned through shakedowns. And so we are doing shakedowns frequently. You know, again, if not daily, we certainly are doing them weekly. But then also we're supporting, when it comes to the shakedowns, we're supporting the correctional officers with deputy sheriffs. So we're taking deputies from our special operations division, we're taking them off the streets. They're from what they would normally be doing, executing search warrants, looking for drugs, but we're bringing them into the jail to support more shakedowns, to make sure that we can get these weapons out of the hands of detainees. We know where most of them come from. They're coming from the building. As we talked earlier about leaks in the building, or near the baseboards, we had detainees that were kicking chunks of concrete out, putting them in socks, making weapons out of them. We had some breaking off portions of their bunk, you know, and filing them down into weapons. So the weapons that we see, they're not handguns coming off the streets. They're literally parts of the building. And so these shakedowns are happening, you know, often. But then also we've deployed strategically metal detectors throughout the jail. So when inmates are, for example, going to or from court, they're passing through metal detectors. Sometimes we're able to detect those types of contrabands at that point and address them. Now, when we find them, we are working with the district attorney's office to add additional charges if we can identify the weapon and attach it to that particular inmate. So from a prosecutorial standpoint, we work with the DA to try to add additional charges to those individuals. As it relates to, I think you indicated narcotics inside of the facility. Again, shakedowns, you know, help us in discovering illegal drugs that's coming into our facility. We have what's called the Tech 81, which we, I guess, describe it like an airport scanner, where new detainees coming to the jail must pass through it before they come into the facility. But then also our staff must pass through a similar piece of technology before they come in to work. So the inmates or detainees, they have 24 hours a day to try to defeat what we do. And when we find new ways and new methods that they are using to introduce contraband or drugs, then we have to adjust as well our tactics on how we address that.
Yeah, and Chief, and I just say I appreciate, you know, the work that you are doing in identifying even your own officers who are doing illegal acts and bringing in there. I know recently we had an incident like that, but can you kind of speak to that as how are you really screening those? Because somebody's saying, how is the drugs getting in there, into the jail, screening your own officers to make sure or what do that plan look like to make sure your officers are not the ones who are actually participating in this illegal activity? And then how you kind of, and again, I know some things you may can't say because it's tactical, but around addressing those officers who are maybe trying to commit these crimes.
Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for that question. So the first thing that we try to do to keep officers from bringing, or any staff member from bringing illegal drugs into the jail, it starts with our hiring process. We try to hire the best people possible before they even come to the jail. So they go through a pretty rigorous background check. The final stop before that person is hired, the chief jailer signs off on it. Chief jailer has over 30 years of experience. I think he's a great judge of character when it comes to who needs to be a part of the family. But then also they have to go through a psychological test. So, you know, this is an independent individual who screens this individual. It's a pretty rigorous test. But we spend 10 long weeks in the academy where we talk about inmate manipulation. We speak about other officers who may have found themselves on the wrong side of the bars. We talk about ethics. You know, we pour into these individuals for 10 weeks. That's 10 long weeks. Before they even walk through the doors of the jail, we are actually adding back into our process a panel interview with the jail command staff. Again, this is another way that we're trying to make sure that we're picking the right people to come through to the job. Because again, when they come into this environment, you know, the inmates have 24 hours a day to work on them, and we want to make sure that they have a strong mind and strong ethics before they even come to the facility. But as I mentioned, they pass through the Tech 84 to ensure that they're being screened, whether it's their bodies or whether any bags that they're bringing into the facility, that those go through an x-ray machine to detect any kind of illegal or any kind of illegal activity or contrabands. But the biggest thing for us is making sure, one, that we're hiring the right people, and that they're going through scrutiny every day that they come to work to make sure that they're not bringing anything into the facility. And let me say this, the few people that we've arrested from our staff this year certainly does not represent the masses. These are a few people who found themselves on the wrong side of the bars, who made poor decisions, but I can sit here with full confidence and tell you that the majority of our staff, they're coming to work every day and they're doing the job the right way. And in many cases, it's our staff who will say, hey, I think something's not right with this person, and so that we can conduct a further investigation. So I just want to make sure that I add that as well.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Reginald.
Willie Brooks, Shelby County Register of Deeds. I just want to follow back up on mental health. What percentage of those who come in are uninsured?
This is Stan Wolford, WellPath. I honestly couldn't answer that question because most of our patients are being seen by Regional 1, the county, you know, through the county or Alliance or someone in the community. So, I mean, and we're not affiliated with any type of insurance company as we're contracted with the county.
Yeah, I was in the process of screening, because I heard what you said, you screen each one as they come in. And then secondly, you mentioned about the medication. And so, for example, if someone has bipolar and you're not able to assert whether or not they're on medication or taking medication, is there some point where you could reach out to the next of kin just to make sure that person is on some form of medication, and maybe they can assist in encouraging that person to take medication?
Stan Wolford, WellPath, Director of Operations. We do that as well. We work with our custody partner to assist us with communicating with families quite often.
Okay.
And we do often, there's times where we've had the families to respond and give us vital information that assist us with the treatment of those patients.
All right, thank you.
Josh.
I'm Josh Spickler, Executive Director of Just City. It strikes me that we're talking a lot about stress on a building and stress on staff who have to meet a jail population. And so my question is two parts. One, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're within spitting distance of a year-long high in jail population. Is that correct? About 2580 today, 2600 is about as high as it's been recently. Is that at 201 specifically?
Kirk Fields, Shelby County Sheriff's Office, you're correct, our population is growing.
Right. So near high for the last 12 months, and so I would encourage all of us to ask why that's true, because there are several ways. We've heard a lot of different ways to address some of the stressors on the people and the building itself. One of those things we haven't talked about, other than actually the jail expediter. And so my question is, what, if anything else, is the sheriff's office doing to lower the population of the jail? And then I would encourage, of course, all of us to think about, I mean, I obviously have ideas that have been well vetted, but are there other things the sheriff's office is doing to reduce that population? Because that's the primary reason that we're here talking about this.
Sure. Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I think it's well, let me start with this. It's challenging for the Sheriff's Office in that regard because we don't make determinations as to who comes through the door and who goes out the door. You know, obviously, law enforcement officers are making arrests every single day. I think the Memphis Police Department have started doing some targeted crime abatement operations, so we never know whether they're going to arrest 20 people on a Friday night or 200 people on a Friday night. And as it relates to the people who leave the jail, that's a decision that's made by the judiciary, whether it's through bond or some other type of release. I will add that several months ago, I had a conversation, or at least I posed a question to the governor about removing our state inmates. At that time, we had about 160 state inmates inside of our jail, and it was a struggle for us to get these inmates moved to the state penitentiary. They were pen ready, which they've been sentenced, they were ready to be moved, but they were still staying in our jail. And so what would it look like to have 160 free beds? Oh, it'd be awesome. And so we have seen a significant improvement in the number of inmates that are being picked up by the state to transfer them over to the state penitentiary. But we still have more than 100 that's resting with us today. We know each week new inmates plead guilty to charges that will put them pen ready or they are convicted at trial. I also want to add that we started the year last year on average, or I think around 2,200 inmates. But then there were some changes in how bonds were handled, and we saw an increase in our population, probably about 200 or 300 inmates. So inmates are staying a little bit longer with us. And they are coming in on more serious charges as it relates to felonies. But between having an expediter to try to get our vulnerable population removed from the jail, between working with the state on trying to get state inmates removed from the jail, I think these are things within the purview of the sheriff's office to try to advocate for, and we're doing that weekly, to try to reduce that population. But then also, as Chief Fields talked earlier, even taking some of our inmates or some of our detained population and transferring them to the Shelby County Correction Center to try to reduce the number of people in the building. We've even moved, that's part of our contingency plan, and we've been even moved into that. Now, the unfortunate part about moving inmates to the correction center is that we have to send staff with them. So now we start seeing a reduction of staff inside of 201 Poplar. So it's a complex puzzle that we're trying to put the pieces together every single day. And there is no one solid plan that works every single week, I can tell you that.
I just put a concrete example, Josh Spickler, Just City, just to put a concrete example on that. We got a message from a man recently who served his entire 8-year sentence here in Shelby County. And so his story is troubling for a lot of reasons, but I mean, for this purposes of this committee, Shelby County bore the cost of a person who was, as they call, pen ready, to serve out an entire pretty serious felony sentence, 7+ years. We kept him in our jail two of those years after he was fully convicted, fully ready to serve his sentence with TDOC. And so it's good to hear. 100 is still a lot, and this is an example of the state pushing some of these costs to us. But lots more to say about the bail stuff. I appreciate you bringing that up. It's a sign of some success that the sheriff's office is telling me and telling us about the bail reforms and how they've contributed to this jail population, because they have. And I hope we can talk about that more some other time, but thank you.
We most definitely got that coming back up, because I'm working on some other data I wanted to pull to kind of look into the bail hearing situation. I don't want to go too much longer. Chair, you got anything to put Brother Fraser, into this. But I do want to take a privilege and recognize City Councilwoman Janika White. Thank her for being here with us. She very dual roles, but you got something to say?
I do. Thank you all so much for inviting me. And I do want to say on the record that I'm here in my capacity as City Council Public Safety Chairperson. One of the things is, and to Josh Spickler's point, even though that was a different capacity of someone who had already been sentenced, but I hope that in these discussions, when we discuss the future of the jail, I want us to, one, keep in mind, which I think many of you here today know, that there's a direct correlation between poor jail conditions and recidivism. Additionally, that as we re-envision what our jail system looks like, that we also consider the fact that we do have individuals who are in jail, even though it's supposed to be a temporary facility pending disposition of a charge. We have people that are there for years. And what does that look like in terms of the time that the jail has control of an individual in terms of programming and resources for a person that is likely going to go back into society? And so I know one of the issues that we deal with now that we've been talking about and looking at a new jail is that by the time the jail was built, it was a lot of things that was already kind of far behind. So as we reimagine and think about the future 5 years, 10 years, how do we decrease the number of people going to jail, and how do we impact those people for the time that they are in control of the jail, knowing that at some point they're going to go back into society, because the majority of people in jail are not there on life sentences. And so just thinking of those things when we have these discussions, and what does that look like for us in this new stage of building a new facility.
And I know that a jail study for the new jail, is that because resources were put there to do that study?
Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I believe $250,000 was set aside for us to do a jail study, but I think CTAS is doing it pro bono or for free. But to your Councilwoman, to your point, I always get excited when I get a chance to have when I have an opportunity to talk about what a new jail could look like. And I had the opportunity to attend one of our programs. We have over 20 programs in the jail right now that's designed to rehabilitate the detained population, because we understand that a majority of the people who come through the doors of the jail return to our community, and we certainly understand that hurt people hurt people. But I remember attending one of our programs, and unfortunately the room that it was in, it was a lot of environmental distractions. And so as I sat through this program, I began to think about those who have attention deficit issues, or someone who may have a learning disability sitting through these programs. And I question how effective some of them are, because whether it's pages over the public address system, or whether it's hallway chatter, whether it's sounds bouncing off the walls, all of those things to me present an issue with someone who may have an issue with attention deficit. So a new jail, obviously, we get excited about it because we get to talk about these things early on. So whether it's 40 years from now, somebody would say the people 40 years ago were very thoughtful about therapy and rehabilitating the people who are going to return to our community. So I would love to see those topics being discussed further down the road when we talk about building a new jail.
All right, thank you. I know we got to get ready to move on because we got another guest speaker here as well. But before I do, Director Sandy Brumley, I know you all are working on a mapping around mental health and the justice system. And how could you just speak to that and how that's going?
Sure. Sandy Bromley, Division of Community Services. So in calendar year 2024, our division worked with a lot of you all in this room to create a report around any possible intervention that throughout the criminal justice system where we could better intervene for people experiencing mental health issues. That report is actually finished and on our website. We've also mapped out the system with those recommendations. So I'm happy to follow up with a link for, maybe we can get it out to this list afterwards. It's on the Division of Community Services website if you just want to Google it.
And thank you for the work on that. So I'll make sure that Lucretia will get that out to this ad hoc committee and those who are registered today. With that being said, we're going to get ready to move on to a guy I was blessed to meet a couple of weeks ago, but hearing a lot about him and the great work that he done, and I felt the connection. Chief Buckner, I told him, I said, with his genius of a mind, one of the things he's doing, he'll speak to that, a dual enrollment program around public health for kids coming out of high school. I said, Chief, feel that we can take some of those 18-year-olds with the certification and things he's going to talk about that they're getting and put them as new correctional officers down there. It may be some great synergy, and we may not be talking about public health issues at the rate that we talk about them in our community right now. With that being said, Dr. Josh, if you will, take it away. She's pulling up your PowerPoint now.
And I think if you will just say next slide, they'll move it for you.
Yeah, she'll tell you when it's next slide. Is that okay, Doctor, so you can see it from where it's at? Okay.
I'll just go through I'm going to speak from the heart.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Commissioner Caswell and Commissioner Wright. It is truly a pleasure to be here among you all. This is my first time to be here, so I just feel honored. I know that I had several meetings with from the Sheriff's Office to see how public health can be incorporated into this. So before I go, if you allow me, I'll just briefly introduce myself, who I am. I'm here to share my passion. I'm a physician by practice. I am a public health professional for last 20 years. I'm very committed to, this is not a job. So this is the first time I'm actually sitting and giving a talk. So I am normally a very person who likes to move around and just share the energy and the passion about this. I think, and I'm a PhD in informatics, moved from New York City 2.5 years ago, and had the opportunity and the privilege to build one of the first public school of public health in the city of New York. A lot of people didn't know that there was no public school of public health. We were located in the heart of Harlem, and within 6 years of our school of public health being there, by the time we left, it was 19th in the country in terms of its ranking. What brought me to Memphis? I hope I give some context to why I'm here, if that's okay. I came here because people asked me a question, why did you move from New York City to Memphis? And my response to Commissioner Caswell in my meeting was, I did not choose. I think God chose me to be here. So it's very much driven by calling. And the second thing was, can we create a school of public health that is impactful and actually able to translate education beyond the walls of the academic boundaries? That's what it is for. So I'll share a little bit about the 2.5 years of work, what has been done with the help of the community, with the help of our collaborations, partnerships across multiple sectors. So there is a model, I'll walk through. If we can just go quickly about the next slide, I'll just take it there. There was most of the schools of public health, for you to know, there are about 153 schools and programs of public health in the United States. And it is very important that sometimes schools of public health, which are very committed to improving the health and well-being of the populations at large, our goal was to really demonstrate that we are an impactful school of public health. And impact has to be measured, documented, and demonstrated. And that's why the term came, SPH Cares, that we are an impactful school of public health. So if you can, the slide, yeah. What does this mean? That yes, we are a school which offers educational degrees, but pathways, but also the impact of this has to go beyond the walls of the academia. So can we translate education and research into practice so that the greater well-being of the community can be seen? And a lot of time people are like, what CARES means? So I'm very glad to share that we are actually one of the few schools which actually make community as one of the core mission of the school. It's not about just giving actually a master's in public health and then walk away with a degree, but really take it to the next level. So we are a community engaged school of public health, which means we are going to be driven by data and informed by evidence for policy making. If we go into the Anchor Institute, we are focusing on factors which are not just focusing on health from the disease manifestation side, but what are the root causes of these problems. So root cause is a very important element if we want to really make an impact in an effective way. Research, a lot of schools of public health, we do publications, we write journals, but then you know what, at the end of the day, we just move forward. But our goal is to make sure that it's research-based solutions. I'm also emphasizing of why and how we are distinct from other schools of public health around the country. Entrepreneurship and innovation is a very important element, especially dealing with the young generation today, which is actually, I feel that every young individual has a great idea. And we need to create an opportunity platform for them to really bring those ideas into a way that they are engaged, they see and follow through on those ideas, and we can be that platform for doing that. And the last is student-centric. Student-centric means that the students are coming to the university and the school of public health are not just looking to get educational experience, but it's a lifelong learning experience. So we want to create that opportunity for them to get that lifelong learning. I use the term impact in a significant way because I'll make sure that by the end of this presentation, I'll be able to demonstrate what impact really means to us at the University of Memphis School of Public Health. It has to, the very important aspect of education is also the well-being of our students. And so some of them may be coming, which might have some financial issues, some other issues that are not related to their education. So how do we really create that support structures that actually will facilitate them to move forward? Advocacy for public health is a very important component, and it's very important that I use the word global, especially after COVID. If you realize the world was so much one. We talk about local, we talk about global, but I always use the term globalization. Everything which is local could be global, everything which is global is local. So it's all interconnected. So the next slide, please. I want to give a little bit about the background of our school. This is it's been 2.5 years since I've been here. And one of the very important aspects was to not just do research, but also create resource opportunities for students. I'd like to share that we have significantly grown our student enrollment at the School of Public Health. Almost 20% increase in our student enrollment has happened over the last 2 years. We have grown our faculty. We've grown student scholarships for the first time, actually. $500,000 is available for student scholarships because that is a way to actually make sure that the students have the resources to contribute towards that. If we go to the next slide, we have a research portfolio has grown over 2 years since I've been here to $27 million. Since I came, it was $1.8 million. So our goal is that we need to make sure that more diversification and resources must be generated to support. And a lot of our resources which are coming, we are ensuring that we are partnering with different community-based organizations around that. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. I just want to highlight this one very important element, that the school is also created a specific office for experiential learning and career readiness, which is only focusing on School of Public Health students. And I'm glad to share that in the last 2 years, for the first time, we have public health job fairs created for our students. In the first year, we had 13 community organizations participating. In the second, we had 24 community-based organizations. So that allows us to ensure that we are also meeting the needs of the community based on creating an industry-based curriculum and not just sitting in isolation. Why the University of Memphis School of Public Health? This is an important element. Our focus is on community engagement, and very, very important is we have making sure that there's a high graduation and a high placement rate. Students must walk out and get into an employment readiness environment so that they can actually make sure that they're getting jobs after they're getting their education. I want to highlight, I'm very proud to share that we are the nation's first school of public health that has established dual enrollment in high schools for public health. There's no school of public health in the nation. This is the first school of public. So if we want to address issues of root causes, we need to intervene early, not at the time when they're coming at the university level. So this was a very important push, and I will definitely say that this is not only getting national recognition, but also international recognition. We had actually a group from Europe, from Malta, Portugal, United Nations, World Health coming and visiting about this. And I always call this as a Memphis model of public health. So we take a lot of pride in what we are trying to accomplish out over here. If you go to this is the next slide, I just want to make sure that you are aware that we are one of the 7 schools in the country that were recognized for Dr. Harrison C. Spencer Award, the highest award a school of public health can get in the country. And those schools which have got that award are Johns Hopkins, Drexel, and I can so proudly feel, because I think that reflects on that the intent and our commitment is towards outstanding community engagement. So this is a very prestigious award, and we were recipient of that in 2024 for the first time. I just wanted to show and share that how we have created one of the most innovative pathways of academic curriculum in the whole, around the nation. This is the only school of public health where students in their junior and senior year can take public health coursework, while those credits can be counted towards their undergraduate. But there are 2 very important elements which happen. They can now, once they have the criteria that is met according to the University of Memphis, they come into the programs. They will be starting from fall 2025, will be able to get the first undergraduate certificate in public health. And some students who may just come into high school and let's say they don't want to pursue public health, or they want to take a break for a year, for the first time in 2025, they'll be qualified to actually give a certification in disease intervention specialist. We were able to secure funding from CDC, about $200,000. This is the first model in the country where high school students demonstrating the experience for 2 years will qualify for a job. Once they've come, and if they decide to come into undergraduate program, all the credits of the dual enrollment can move into the undergraduate program. Now, there are 2 very important elements of that. One, they want to graduate fast, and we want to make sure that it's affordable. So to support that, we created an accelerated bachelor's to master's program, which means while they have completed 72 credits of their Bachelor's of Science in Public Health, they can qualify to take 12 graduate level credits while they are undergraduate student at an undergraduate tuition. So that also actually helps them, that they're moving. It's basically creating like a kind of a flow that whenever they want to come in, go out, work, come in, there are credits, there's a pathway that has been established. So this is the only school in the country right now that has established this pathway. Because of the success of this, yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to share that this is something which is, when we were talking and I'm listening to the conversation, it's how do we really engage the students? I think we need to engage them at grade 9th, 10th. We should engage them at middle school. But I'll tell you the reason why we picked high schools before we go to the middle schools. So our goal is to create public health ambassadors in the community so that those who can be sensitized that why public health is important to them to take care of their own health and well-being and the family and the community they are living in. So it's kind of a sensitization approach. So the dual enrollment is one. We are also the only city in the nation that has established public health clubs in the high schools now. You see chess club, you see robotics, you see everything, but no public health. And public health is everything. The food we eat, the amount of sleep we have, how we take care of ourselves, that's public health. So I think this is, if you can go to the next slide, please. There are 3 objectives of this approach. One, how do we improve community health and well-being? How do we improve their physical and mental health? And most importantly, how do we engage them into public health careers? Next slide, please. It's built on 4 pillars. Now, most of the students will come there and say, I want to take a course in management, business, public health, epidemiology, biostatistics, but there are 4 pillars which are very important. They need to learn how to cope in the complex, uncertain environments. So coping is an important element. Adaptability is a very important element. Resilience and empathy. So unless we are training them on these 4 broad pillars, it's very difficult to see how they move forward. So they can become a lawyer, they can become a nurse, they can become a physician or anybody, but they need to be making sure that they can respond to crisis situations or uncertain complex environments. So that's why this curriculum is built specifically on these 4 pillars. We are conducting 4 kind of activities: public health in action. We are celebrating public health days. It was interesting that I met some students and they said, what is public health? So I said, what do you want to be? They said, I want to be a basketball player. Great. What do you need for basketball? I need to eat healthy food. Okay. Do you need to sleep properly? How does sleep impact? You need to sleep so that you can get the best possible benefit. So they didn't relate that's public health to them. So what the whole approach is, can we just create more awareness about public health at large? Organizing public health workshops and public health hackathon. I'll share that with you also. Please, next slide. As of in 2.5 years, this was a seed that started 2.5 years ago when I first came, first semester of my, and I remember I went to Medical District High School and I said, we want to start a public health club. They said, because to be honest, like I need to find somebody who's willing to take my idea and just put it a seed. So a couple of lectures we went and there was very least interaction. And the beauty of this implementation is we take our undergraduate students, graduate students and doctoral students with us. So it's not just led by faculty, it's led by our student body. They went there and after about 3 sessions, there was very limited interest, but after 3 sessions, they started to talk. So it takes time. It takes time to get them that orientation about what it is. And it became so successful that the vice principal who was there moved to South Bend and said, the first thing I want is to establish a public health club in that school. So I just wanted to give, so we are now in around 17 countries. Students which are connected over here are linked to other students around the world. So that's creating a global approach to them. If you can go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to give you the schools that are currently participating in a dual enrollment. Central High School, Christian Brothers, Collierville, Compass, Kingsbury, Soulsville, University High, White Station. The way we are going is every school which calls, we go there. Every school. There are 43 additional requests from Memphis Shelby County School Systems. And the way it goes is we go, takes time, we explain, we come back, just keep on going, keep on going. And it started with only 1 school, and I think it's mostly from the word of mouth that other schools are getting to do that. And for us, are we doing it perfect? No. Can we improve? Absolutely, yes. It's a learning opportunity to see what best to evolve. There are 6 courses, I'll just mention briefly in the last slide. There were only 6 courses. They're all covered through the dual enrollment for the state grant. They can take up to 18 credits. Because of the success of that program, and being the only program in the whole nation, we were the only recipient of the grant for high school pathways by the CDC for this funding. And that creates which means basically we are actually right now a leading national model for the School of Public Health for a pathway to high school program to public health. Next slide. There's a Public Health Days. We do celebrate every month Public Health Days, work very closely with the Shelby County Health Department, and I'm sure that with the Community Services Division, we had a great visit, and we are looking forward to expanding this out. The events, students, they are just now taking charge of themselves. So our goal is not to go and tell them what to do. We are saying, let's co-create and co-design ourselves. So let's listen to them, what the solutions will look like from their end. Next slide, please. The public health clubs have been supporting, it's been extremely important insights that we've been able to find from our students. Extremely important. And what at the School of Public Health at the University of Memphis, what we are doing is we are trying to give them the tools and the resources to channelize their energy and engagement in ways that they can create solutions which are out of box to address public health challenges. And I'll give you some examples of that, please. Next one. The active public health clubs are in Central, Cordova, Kingsbury, University High, Southwind. We have upcoming public health clubs in Freedom Prep, Tres Event. We are now awaiting schedules for Raleigh Egypt High School and others. There are about 43 to 44 schools now, and we are starting to see it's going by one by one. There's no random selection. Somebody gives a call, we just go there. We did hackathon. It's an opportunity for students, high school students, to come together and find a solution to a particular problem. It's once they have formed teams to work with each other or in group, we actually give them 4 weeks of workshops on how to approach that problem. And it's a very innovative way. We started with only one school 2 years ago. And if you see the next slide, I'm so delighted to share that we have about 89 participants for this hackathon. So we have Central High School team, we have Cordova, we have Lincoln, we have Southwind, Kingsbury, De La Salle from Malta. We have a participation from Europe. We have from participation from Uganda. We have now even Washington, D.C., when I was coming, is actually taking participation in that. So we're trying to become that model around that. Just the last slide is that I do want to acknowledge our partners in the community, and we were very, very delighted that this is a very prestigious award. Only one time you can get it, that the School of Public Health at the University of Memphis was a recipient for Dr. Hazen C. Spencer Award for this thing. Last slide. I just want to thank all our University of Memphis leadership, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and the community partners, and our advisory board. I just want to take a moment to thank Commissioner Caswell and Commissioner Wright just for allowing me to be here and come here to share the passion. I'm not here to brag about the success. There's a lot of work to be done, but a little bit, I lost my father when I was in a medical school, and I said, I'm not going to let anybody die. I came to this country 22 years ago with $3,000 in my pocket. I lived on $9 a week myself. I understand what the lens is all about. We have to create more role models within our community to ensure that they should have high aspirations to get to the point where they want to be. And my father said, I like to conclude if you just give me 30 seconds. He says, grow like an old tree, my son. When you grow like an old tree, you never see a tree vertical, it's horizontal, which means be humble so that you can give shelter to many. With that note, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here.
All right. Man, hey, that's worth giving him a hand. I tell you, for all of those accolades and all the great things that you're doing, I'm gonna get your name right, Dr. Yoshi. Doctor, again, thank you, man. And Sheriff, Chief Buckner, I say, I probably prophesied, but Chief Buckner, this goes to a conversation I think we had yesterday when we talked about many of the issues that's going on in jail. It goes in the community first. And so the connection and a lot of the work that I've been doing over the years around addressing at the root cause that put those public health issues, if we do this right and do it effectively, we can change the trajectory of what we're seeing. Brother Josh, when you're talking about how we keep them out of that jail, we make sure our communities are healthy. We make sure our communities are getting the things that they're getting, those children getting the things that they can do to become wealthy. And so this is why I invited Doctor to marry with some of this conversation to look at how do we address public safety at a public health focus. And I know that's what the district connectors are doing in the Office of Community Service. When you talk about getting to those root causes of many of those issues. I want to take a minute, Principal, and because Principal, come on, I got a card for him to speak, and I want to, Doctor, make sure you connect with this Principal because he's in my district, Raleigh Egypt High School. We'd love to have this program.
I just want that number. He talking about the call.
Yeah.
What's that number to call you at?
I'm gonna give it to you, Principal.
Thank you,
Did you have some? I got
Yes,
a
sir,
card.
I did. Yes, sir, I did.
And just introduce yourself.
All right.
Speaking that mic there.
Yes, sir. I am Dr. Kirkland Hamilton, Assistant Principal at Raleigh Egypt High School, so I look forward to talking to you for sure. It's a good segue because it's kind of it's supporting what you're talking about and what you guys are talking about. I'm here in representing the Raleigh Egypt community, especially in particular the Raleigh Egypt High School, the elementary, middle, and high school. From a public safety standpoint, we all know that the Raleigh Egypt High School area has issues with crime and drugs. With that in mind, this area also houses 3 schools that educate Shelby County school children. To that end, Raleigh Egypt High School should be treated and planned for as far as capital improvements, just like all other schools that house and teach Shelby County children. What I'm pointing out and asking for today are not cosmetic changes. These are necessary changes to protect our kids and our community in Raleigh, Egypt. You might be surprised to know this, but, and let me just say that if we spend more money on schools, we will spend less money on jails. That's just a fact. You might be surprised to know this, but our middle school in the Raleigh Egypt community has no street crossing signs to indicate there's a school back there whatsoever. None. The high school only has one school crossing sign. It doesn't even say school crossing, and the elementary has only one, and it's dark. Oh, they're all dark, opaque, faded, about to probably already expired. None of the schools have school flashing lights to slow down the traffic. None whatsoever. There's nothing on Raleigh Egypt that turns off in the testing to indicate that there are 3 schools and communities down there that you may need to drive slower, especially during the school hours. Gates. We have 3 gates that sort of enclose our school. The school was initially built and there was an annex built on the back of it. That annex has a gate that the city, when I first got there last year, we were promised a wall. We never got the wall. We got a gate. We got a fence back there. I bought a chain and a lock with my money, but you can still get through that fence and over that fence. You might not know this, but last year we found 3 loaded weapons on campus with armor-piercing bullets, about 100 rounds of armor-piercing bullets. So we do have some issues that we are concerned about with those gates. You can pass weapons, drugs, you can open them up, you can call somebody up there to come get them. And as far as calling somebody, I would like the county commissioners to support any state law that bans cell phones in schools. Arkansas just passed one. Tennessee needs one as well. Yes, sir. With a cell phone, we got kids calling folks to come up and help them fight, calling folks to bring them weapons, calling folks to bring them drugs. That's all kinds of stuff. It's odd that in this day and age, if I have a problem with a kid, this kid is talking to his parent before I even call the parent. They already got their narrative in. And parents nowadays, well, let me just stop there. Door alarms. The district did send somebody out to put door alarms on our doors that are sensitive, non-entry areas. So when the kid opens their door, I can hear it. I can look at my camera. I can go see who's what, and then I can deal with it individual. They did one door, Commissioner Caswell, then they disalarmed that door. They took that alarm off their door. Metal detection. Our metal detectors do not pick up knives or vapes. Vapes are our biggest problem in school nowadays. Kids are calling other kids to bring vapes up, passing through the fence. If we catch them at the metal detector, I got a crate in my office right now, about that big, this high, full of vapes. I can't even put any more vapes in it right now. That's the big problem that we have, and so a fence, a wall back there would help that, and a better metal detection system would help that as well. We would love to have either a PST or a sheriff on campus, especially during dismissal. There have been an increased number of fights in our district, and the fights are getting more and more deadly. School's about to let out, and it's going to get even worse. At this point, we've been calling over extra SROs, but if I had a sheriff car on that street for 30 minutes or so, 20, 30 minutes or so, that'll change their whole mindset. And especially if even a PST out there, that would help out a little bit as well. As far as safety, and we're talking about safety here today, we had a parent-teacher conference last week. The way we were doing it is our parents, we meet up in the cafeteria initially, and we send our parents out to meet the teachers so that they can deal with whatever issues that they need to deal with. When they're going down to the basement, Commissioner Caswell, there are no lights in the back of that school. It's completely dark. It's not safe at all. There's also in the back of that school where there are no lights there. Whenever it rains a little bit, we get significant flooding in the basement. Our kids can't go to the bedroom without getting their feet wet. It's just a real ugly situation. We need a lot of repairs in our school. Again, one of the scariest things to me is that the building has no sprinkler system. We had risk management out about a month ago. I was advised that all 3 roofs, the main building and both annexes, the roofs need to be replaced. All 3 roofs need to be replaced. Those are some of the concerns we have. if I could just get a wall between the annex and the gym to stop weapons and drugs from coming onto my property, that would be the biggest thing that I would ask for today. If you want to come out and walk around with me, I'd be glad to show you some of the things that we're dealing with. I can write some up, send it to you, whatever you need to do, but I'm just looking for some help from my school and from my community, sir.
Head up and send it to me.
Yes,
And
sir.
have you got with Commissioner Love or the district with those requests?
Well, funny you ask. I had the district out the day before yesterday,
Yeah.
and they said they were going to do some things for me, but they, in no uncertain terms, told me that I might need to contact my commissioner because all the funds in the CIP were already dispersed and gone.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. But I most definitely, I know about the gym situation. I
Yes,
thought
sir.
they said last year that was taken care of, but you
They
still.
finally got my fire alarms working, finally.
But the flooding still happening.
Flooding still going on, yes, sir.
Still going on. Okay. Well, thank you, Principal, for coming out, sharing it. Make sure you email me that, and then I'm
will.
going to follow up with them as
And I
well.
thank y'all for y'all time and y'all attendance. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Is there any question for Dr. Dean Yoshi before he get out of here as well? All right, we good? CAO, did you have anything? Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. Black.
We're reaching out to you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Anthony Blackman, Community Director at the Warrior Center. I want to thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership. These are the meetings that are definitely needed in our community. And as a representative of the Warrior Center, I want to thank you for recognizing our work that we did last year with fasting for the city. We are a faith-based organization, and we deal with men and women that's dealing with life-controlling problems. As we can see that we're dealing with a lot of those within the jail system and whatnot. And the reason why we're here, because we want to let you know that there's an avenue, there's a place at the Warrior Center where men and women can come and be rehabilitated. We're a faith-based program. We've been around 25 years now, and we're just getting out and letting the community know that we exist. So I just want to extend that invitation there, Commissioner, to everybody that's involved. Thank you for inviting me, okay?
Right. And you all will be getting an email too on the upcoming event, especially around the 7P Summit. But thank you for that. And if you all have anything coming up, please share it with us and we can get it out in our email blast to everybody as well. I want to thank you all and just update you. Our next committee meeting is going to be on March the 27th. And before we go, Chief Buckner, is it anything, next steps that you are needing or see that we can help you as a commission or the community can do to support this work? Don't look at CAO. Go ahead.
No, I have to remember what to say before I start talking.
Yeah.
Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Yeah, you're right. I looked over there at my Chief Financial Officer because I'm sure she has a laundry list of asks financially that we.
She already been here.
Oh, she already been.
Yeah.
No, thank you for the platform to give us an opportunity to kind of share what we were trying to do to address the many of concerns that we have. But Commissioner, I do want to leave with these final words as we round third and head for home. You know, most of the issues that you hear about that we have with the inmates inside of the jail, those issues were not created inside the jail. They arrived to the jail in that way. And so we're doing everything that we can to mitigate those issues. And I do want to add one more thing that I meant to say earlier. You asked about mental health. We have a number of correction officers that are CIT trained, Crisis Intervention Team trained. And so while WellPath may have a number of people who are there to serve as mental health issues, we have deputies who are trained just like sheriff's deputies on the street and Memphis police officers to help identify those who may be in crisis. So I just want to add that. I forgot to mention that earlier. Thank you again.
Yeah, and also, Chief, I know that ideals are still being tossed. Have anything come up that if the new jail was built in Shelby County, where would it go? Has that thought, if you all thought about that?
Anthony Buckner, Chief Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Caswell, I think there have been a number of locations that have been proposed. None have been identified, so I think we just have to sit down and have honest and real conversations around those proposals and see what serves the Memphis and Shelby County community the best.
All right. Well, thank you again. Any other question? All minds clear. The next meeting is March the 27th. And Josh, I just say this, that I know I'm working on bringing some people from domestic violence and some students in for that meeting to talk about some of the youth drama before we get into the summer. But the bail piece, get a date on that, but when we're gonna have them back before us with a review, and I'd love to have you back to talk about that as well. Thank you all. See you at the next meeting. Meeting adjourned.